Have you ever felt like you're carrying an invisible backpack filled with everyone else's problems, emotions, and potential disasters? Like you're somehow responsible for making sure nothing bad happens to anyone ever that you care about. Hey, beautiful humans. Welcome back to Bossing Up Overcoming OCD. I'm your host, Erin Davis, and today we're going to talk about something that hits too close to home. Your responsibility OCD isn't making you a better person, it's making you exhausted. And if you're a high achieving woman, chances are you've been carrying this invisible weight for years. You've been carrying it so long, you don't even remember what it feels like to put it down. In the next 15 minutes, we're going to do a rundown of responsibility OCD, like why high achievers get trapped by it, how it shows up in your relationships, and most importantly, how to start setting down that invisible weight you've been carrying. Because here's what I've learned from my own struggle with this. You don't have to prevent every possible bad outcome to be a good person. Let's paint what responsibility OCD looks like for high achieving women. You wake up and immediately start that mental checklist. You're thinking, did I respond to that text from my friend who seemed upset? Have I asked my mom how she is doing? What if my team at work struggles with that project because I didn't give them enough guidance? Did I lock that door? What if someone breaks into my house and it's my fault? And therefore, you feel responsible for everyone's happiness but your own. Does this sound familiar? You're the one everyone comes to with their problems because you know what to do. You're the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who thinks of everything. But here's what nobody sees, that heavy burden you carry with you every single day. The weight of feeling like everyone's safety, happiness, and well-being somehow depends on you getting everything right. The weight of believing that if you don't worry enough, think enough, plan enough, something terrible will happen and it will be your fault. This isn't just being a caring person. This is responsibility OCD. And it's stealing your peace, your energy, and your ability to just exist without constantly managing everyone else's life. If you're wondering how high achievers get trapped in this cycle, well, first of all, we've been rewarded for this type of behavior our entire lives. Think about it. You were probably the good girl growing up, the one who reminded everyone about homework, who made sure your siblings were okay, who worried about your parents' feelings. And what happened? You got praised for it. You were told that you're so responsible. You're so mature. What would we do without you? Your hyper responsibility became part of your identity. Second, we're used to having control in all of these areas. You can control things at work. You can control your schedule. You can control your goals and achievements. And you're probably really good at it. So when it comes to the people you love, your brain thinks, well, surely I can control their safetiness. I can create happiness for them too, right? And you know how that story turns out. Another way that high achieving women get caught in this trap of responsibility OCD is that we have magical thinking. So not the type of magical thinking where like you're pulling a rabbit out of a hat kind of magic. It's the type of thoughts where you're feeling like if you can think of all of these possible bad things that could happen, you can somehow prevent it from occurring or from taking place. So, for example, if I worry enough, then my loved ones will be safe. If I don't think about potential disasters, I'm being irresponsible and something bad will happen. And y'all know the truth, right? Your worry doesn't actually protect anyone. Your anxiety about your friend getting a new job offer doesn't make them more likely to get the job. Your concern about your family member's health doesn't prevent them from getting sick. And your mental rehearsal of every possible disaster doesn't actually prevent catastrophes. This only exhausts you. Now, how does this show up in your life? Okay, let's get real specific about how responsibility OCD shows up for high achieving women because I bet you'll recognize yourself in these examples. For example, you feel responsible for everyone's emotions. If your partner seems off, it must be something you did or didn't do. You over explain everything because you're terrified of being misunderstood and causing someone distress. You say yes to things you don't want to because saying no might hurt someone's feelings and that would be your fault. You check in on people constantly, not just because you care, but because you feel like their well being is somehow your responsibility. You could also be staying late at work, not because you have to, but because you feel responsible for everyone else's success. You double and triple check everything because if there's a mistake, it could affect other people and that would be on you. You take on extra projects because you feel responsible for the team's performance. You lose sleep over decisions because you're terrified of making the wrong choice and having it negatively impact others. And here's the kicker. You feel responsible for so many things, and a lot of these things are completely out of your control. Like you feel responsible for preventing accidents. You're checking locks multiple times, scanning for potential dangers. You're warning people about things that probably won't happen. You research everything to death because making an uninformed decision could have consequences for other people. Your brain has convinced you that if you just think about it enough, worry about it enough, plan for it enough, you can control the uncontrollable. And a lot of moms out there, you may feel guilty for spending money on yourself because what if that money is needed for an emergency later? Now, through my own journey with feeling overly responsible for things, I came to a point where I had to realize that people are going to live their life no matter what I do. People are going to make their choices no matter what I say. And I had to be able to let that go because otherwise it would eat me alive. I get angry, I get frustrated, and the relief of letting go and recognizing that I'm not responsible for other people's choices gave me so much freedom. And so, what if your job is just to be present, to be loving, to be supportive when things go wrong? Not just prevent them from going wrong in the first place. As one of my clients said, you have to suffer in order to recover. And y'all, that is powerful because what if your job isn't to prevent bad things from happening, yet your job is to respond with love when they do? Because suddenly you don't have to carry the weight of everyone's future happiness. You don't have to solve problems that haven't happened yet. And you don't have to be a psychic about potential disasters. You get to be you. You get to be human. If you're ready to start actually putting down this invisible weight, here are practical tools, and some of it involves that exposure response prevention as well as that mental shifting. Okay, so first, know the difference between real responsibility and the responsibility OCD. Okay, in looking at the example of the door, real responsibility is simply locking the door when you leave the house. And when you do that, your decision-making process has already determined that you locked it good enough for you to walk away. The responsibility OCD says, oh, we need to go back and check because what if someone breaks in? What if you didn't really lock it? Are you sure you really locked it? If someone breaks in, then it's all your fault. So all that extra stuff, lean into trusting yourself and remembering, I locked it well enough for me to walk away the first time. And you resist the urge to go back and check. Another distinction here, like real responsibility is being kind to your friends. The responsibility OCD says that you need to manage your friends' emotions and you should feel guilty when they're upset about something and you didn't fix it, right? How many of y'all have been in a conversation with someone who is trying to fix your problems and you're like, please, would you just listen and validate and support me? Like they're not looking to you to fix it. So slow it down, really lean into listening, being kind, being loving. Another technique I love to do is thinking about how someone else's chaos is not my ride to get on. So I think about it like a roller coaster, or maybe you want to think about it like a circus. So when you catch yourself taking on responsibility for something that's outside of your control, remind yourself that's not my circus. It's not my ride. Because when someone is feeling upset about something, yes, I will give them a listening ear, validation, support. But if there's a lot happening outside of my control, I think about them getting on a roller coaster and I can't control the ride that they're on. And I imagine it in this visual of like Carowinds, like they're stepping on to the ride and I'm at the gate and I'm waiting for them when they return. Another technique is to give yourself compassion, like thinking about how you want your friends to respond and using that advice for yourself. So you'd probably tell your friend that she can't prevent every bad thing from happening. And therefore, you're giving yourself that question, what would I tell a friend? Another strategy for you is you can remind yourself out loud, it's not my responsibility. You can say to yourself, I'm not responsible for my coworker's mood today. I'm not responsible for preventing every possible accident. I'm not responsible for my friend's relationship problems. The more you say it, the more your brain starts to believe it. Lastly, you need to set boundaries for your own self-care because you can care about people without being responsible for their entire lives. You can offer support without taking on their problems as your own, and you can love someone without feeling guilty every time they struggle. Caring and controlling are not the same thing. So if you've been carrying the weight of the responsibility OCD for as long as you can remember, it's time to put it down. And when you do, you will feel more freedom. You're going to feel lighter. It's like there's this shift where everything goes where it needs to. Not all the balls are in your court. Okay, you start to pass everything back out. And at the end of the day, you realize that you're still a good person. And you may be struggling with that fear of what if I stop being hyper responsible and people somehow think I'm being selfish or uncaring? But actually, the opposite is likely to happen. Because when you stop exhausting yourself with worry, you have more energy, space, and room to be more genuine, more loving, and more present to people and offer them more support to the people that you care about. And listen, y'all, you've been carrying this invisible weight for so long, you probably don't even remember what it feels like to walk through life without it. But you don't have to be the universe's risk management department. You don't have to prevent every possible bad outcome. And you don't even have to manage everyone's emotions. That's not your job, and it never was. Your job is to be human, to be loving, to be present, to respond with compassion when things go wrong, and not necessarily to prevent them from going wrong in the first place. If you're exhausted from carrying the invisible weight, I've got a free 5-day email course for you called The Overthinker's Guide to Love, specifically designed for high-achieving women who are ready to put down the weight and start living their actual lives instead of managing everyone else's. In the emails, you're going to learn how to distinguish between real responsibility and responsibility OCD. You're going to be able to set healthy boundaries and find peace in the uncertainty of life. If you're ready to start feeling like that human who is relaxed and not overthinking everything, catch the link in the show notes to get started with that free email course to the Overthinker's Guide to Love today. And come back next week where we're going to talk about those summer triggers for OCD. Until then, be kind to yourself, stay blessed by the best. See you next time.